Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games and part 9 of our How to Play Kill Team series. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll be taking you through kill zones and terrain. So far in the series we've gone right through from part 1, the tools of war, all the way up to part 8, the line of sight. But now it's time to get started with part 9, where we'll look at the rules for kill zones and terrain. Kill zones will include a multitude of terrain features for your operatives to fight around, and the various parts of each terrain feature have traits that convey certain rules effects. If you create a kill zone using a kill zone environment, each terrain feature will be built in a specific way and the different parts of it will be defined. If your kill zone is of your own devising, you and your opponent must define each part of a terrain feature and its accompanying traits. We'll have a look at lots of different examples of terrain later in the video, but first of all, let's run through all the different terrain traits, starting with heavy. Heavy terrain provides cover and is also obscuring. Light terrain provides cover unless otherwise specified. Traversable terrain can be traversed, and we're going to go through some of the rules for movement in the next video. Insignificant terrain is terrain too small to have an impact on your operatives and provides no rules. Barricades are terrain that players set up before a battle. They are 1 white circle wide and 1 black triangle tall. They are both light and traversable. Those are all pretty straightforward terrain traits, but now let's look at a vantage point, which has a few extra rules. A vantage point is a terrain feature with a vertical element that operatives can be placed upon. For example, there'll be a piece of terrain that is a level higher than the floor of the kill zone. If a part of a terrain feature is not defined as a vantage point, operatives can climb over or traverse it, but they cannot finish a move or be set up upon it. Each time an operative on a vantage point makes a shooting attack, each enemy operative that has a conceal order that is in cover provided by light terrain or another operative and is at least 1 white circle lower than them is treated as having an engage order for that attack instead. There are 2 things to note each time a shooting attack is made against an operative on a vantage point for that shooting attack. The first is that the operative cannot use the floor of the vantage point as cover or to be obscured. The second is that the operative cannot use parts of the vantage point's terrain feature that is lower than the operative as cover or to be obscured. Instead, the operative must use parts that are the same height as or higher than the operative, such as a rampart or battlement that's on the vantage point. Let's go through 2 quick examples of the vantage point just so we can really get to grips with the rules for this. In our first example, the commando on a vantage point makes a shooting attack. The veteran guardsman has a conceal order and is in cover provided by light terrain. As it is at least 1 white circle lower than the commando, the veteran guardsman is treated as having an engage order for that attack instead, making it a valid target for the shooting attack. In our second example, the veteran guardsman makes a shooting attack. The commando has a conceal order and is on a vantage point, but as it cannot use the floor of the vantage point or parts of the vantage point that are lower than it is as cover or to be obscured, it is a valid target for the shooting attack and cannot use the vantage point as cover. Now we've gone through the terrain traits, let's have a look at some examples of terrain features using the images provided in the core book and the Octarius supplement book. Let's start with the core book, and on pages 78 to 80 you'll see some example terrain features. If you use a specific kill zone for your game, like the Octarius kill zone, the terrain features and traits are going to be specified, and we'll go through those in a second when we look at that book. However, if you want to use your own kill zone that you've put together yourself using either terrain that you've bought or terrain that you've built, then it's good for you and your opponent to agree upon the traits of the kill zone's terrain features before the battle. Let's start with the pipe, and all parts of pipe terrain feature have the light and traversable trait. Then we've got a simple wall, and all parts of a wall terrain feature have the heavy trait. You've also got the low wall, and all parts of a low wall terrain feature have the light and traversable trait. We've also got battlefield detritus, and battlefield detritus are terrain features that are usually less than one black triangle tall. They have the insignificant trait, but note that if the crates are stacked together, they would become a kill zone material terrain feature, and we'll take a look at that in a second. Kill zone material terrain features have the light trait. They can also be traversable, usually if they are no more than one black triangle tall. Next we've got buildings, and a building terrain feature can include parts with different traits. So here you can see we've got heavy with the door and the wall, we've got a vantage point, and we've got a traversable and light section, and we can even have traversable and heavy, as you can see in this image to the left. Here we've got the industrial machine, and all parts of an industrial machine terrain feature have the heavy trait. For a forest terrain feature will include parts with different traits, so you can see we've got heavy for the trunk and insignificant for the roots and the rocks. This larger piece, the industrial structure, is a terrain feature that includes, again, parts with different traits. So you can see we've got a vantage point, traversable and light, and also heavy sections. And the final terrain feature in the core book is the Monitorum container. And this container terrain feature includes parts with different traits as well. You can see we've got heavy, we've got vantage point, and we've got insignificant. Now let's look at the Octarius supplement book, and on pages 72 to 74 you can see all the terrain pieces for the kill zone Octarius. Let's start with the ramshackle wall, and this terrain feature includes parts with different traits as well. We've got traversable and light, we've got a vantage point, and we've got heavy. Next we've got the oil pump, and the oil pump includes a part with the vantage point trait, and then every other part of it is classed as the heavy trait. Now we've got the ramshackle barricade, and all parts of a ramshackle barricade terrain feature have both the light and traversable traits. And now finally we've got the last terrain feature, which is the scrap pile, and this has the light and scramble traits. And so here you can see we've got some new rules being included for this particular part of the terrain, which includes scramble over and charge over. So when you find you have a kill zone with its specific terrain, we may be expecting to see extra rules like this so that we can incorporate that into our game. And you can find these particular rules on page 74 of the Octarius supplement book. That now covers all the rules for kill zones and terrain. So come and join me for the next part in the series, where we'll be looking at movement, specifically how your operatives move around the kill zone. You can find loads of other videos on my channel for Kill Team and other games, and these videos include painting, deep dives, how to play, and many other topics. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and if you've got any questions, please add them in the comments section below. It'd be great to hear from you, and if I can help you out in any way, that would be awesome too. But thanks so much for watching. Can't wait to see you in the next episode of the series. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description and it'd be great to see you there.